Ken Rochon and the Science of Smiles.
Why the importance of that?
Well, I have a movement called the Keep Smiling movement, and I was a science teacher back in the day, and I enjoyed physics and chemistry, and just to have the honor to speak at this conference and tie the energy of a smile actually causing positive energy in the world. So it was really a cool research assignment. I think it's definitely heading towards a real smile at least. So if you do no smile, you're not doing any energy, and you're certainly probably bringing people down. But if you do a fake smile, there's at least an attempt. But truly, the only way you really need to shift a fake smile to a real smile is to think about love or think about gratitude. So it's not that big of an exercise. I hope everyone has something to be grateful for. I think there's hundreds of things. No, I've been lucky. I've been funny every single time I've ever said anything.
Not me. I haven't had that.
Well, if you think that's the truth, that was a joke right there.
Well,
I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm doing these jokes right now, and you're laughing, but more importantly, the gun range is going off. I told them to always click a shot out whenever they're happy.
it's like a gun applause.
The gun applause, that's right.
I'm happy. In a male way.
Exactly. Well, this is a group of disruptors and innovators, and I'm raising my son, he's 6 years old, to be a game changer. And so this is the right type of community that is teaching people to think outside the box, to look at problems and say, you know what, there's a way to solve it, I just need to think about it. And actually, I didn't show off the Science of Smiles book, but I really want to do that because I'm very proud that this is not my 26th book, but this is my first book that I ever researched. So every other book, the other 25, they were all about really inspiring or motivation or just my wisdom. But I had to go really deep to get the information for this book. So it was really a nice challenge. John Bedini brags that he does not smile. And so every single day I would just be nice to him. And on the third day, the final day, like today, I went up to him and I said, do you think I can get that smile? And he says, yeah, I'll give you the smile. And he held up the card and he gave such a gorgeous smile. It actually really impacted me because I know he doesn't give that gift as often as he could. And they ended up asking for that shot after he passed. And I think they used that as his way of showing how his energy was his soul, and a smile, even though he didn't give it that much, he always gave his energy to science. And I didn't mention this, but that is the coolest part about the smile is in my talk I talked about when you smile, you actually release endorphins, which say to your brain, I'm happy. But if you're not, as you talked earlier about faking it, if you smile, you kick off endorphins, and then you still smile. You say, I'm happy. So if you actually say, I'm just going to smile, it's actually going to do the work anyway and cause you to be happy. Because your brain can't say, I'm smiling, I'm not happy.
I think I read that somewhere in your book.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer a little deeper, though. I go to about 100 conferences a year, and this conference is really my jewel. It's the one where you're meeting people that don't care about the world knowing about them. They just really want to solve a problem and have a purpose that's so much bigger than them. And I love these people because they're not looking for any type of glory in it. They just love to do what they're doing.
Right.
Well, first of all, that every one of us has a story, and we have the power of actually causing people to be inspired. And I think what's missing in this world is hope and being the power of actually making a change in the world. So in this talk, I gave everyone an opportunity in the audience to share who they are, what they had to do to create who they are, i.e. the challenges, the failures, just everything you have to overcome, because it's so easy to quit. And when you quit, your who diminishes and your story diminishes. But when you actually keep being triumphant and persistent, you cause this big purpose to evolve. Now that evolution, you cause a problem to be solved in the world, which creates hope. And so this particular book here is the book that Aaron wrote about his journey. And if his journey had not been a journey where he was persistent, we wouldn't be sitting together talking. I mean, think about that. His journey caused this conference, and this is the 8th year, and it's just getting better. And this lovely card here, Keep Smiling, I give this to people when I watch a transformational energy change from them being them to them being love. And on the back of the card it says, we amplify goodness. I don't know if you can see that, but the point is, we have that choice to amplify goodness in the form of the Keep Smiling. This is a more in-depth biography of each of the speakers and some of the great minds that are at the ESTC. So all three of these books did rather well. I'm only carrying a couple home, and that's kind of neat that this community really it has a thirst for knowledge, and they really support each of the authors here. I see the book table really high, and it just gets really low, and I see these people really embrace each other's intelligence. So I love that about this community. Well, I'm old school. I was a DJ, so having a real love for electronics allows you to amplify music you love. And so I really just changed from amplifying music to amplifying leaders' messages. So this is a bunch of leaders here, and Aaron is the power of one, as I call it, that brings all these amazing people together that have a conversation that would never exist in this time and space. And everyone's life is impacted so much that the world shifts on some level. When you're talking about, these aren't top 1% people. I don't know what percent they are, but they're like top 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%, because these are at a phenomenal level of intellect that they almost speak a different language. And the ones at the very top that can actually stay with that language are able to actually cause the world to shift. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And this is my third year here, and it's like if you were to go to another country and hear Spanish for the first time or French or something, you're listening and you're like, I have no idea what they're saying. And the second year I was here, I started actually saying, I'm getting some of this. And this third year, I really have made a large advance that I can actually open my mouth and say a science word every once in a while.
Wow.
So I'm pretty impressed with this group because they're just thinking so far outside the box.
I'm going in the same direction. Yeah. How do you apply equations to the practical world?
Right.
And how do you see that and imagine and dream about it?
Well, yeah, and the other part that I love is that when they're playing at this high level, they can explain in math most of what's happening, but there's these phenomenons that they can't explain, and they just say transparently, I have no idea why this is happening here, but it's happening, and there is an explainable, but it's not explainable.
Well, if it's a problem, you just let it rest.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I've had people come to this conference and say, you're the guy that has the smile card, the Keep Smiling card, and I actually really enjoyed your talk. And I just really turned, the first year was very interesting because this community has a great secret and it's not really marketed to the world. And right now they're evolved to the point that the more they market this to the world, the more they could actually change the world for good and actually be more abundant for it. And the problem in the beginning was, hey, we got to keep this a secret, and it was more of a scarcity mindset, I think. And so I just love how this community's evolved, and they're actually thinking about how they take the collaboration and cause the monetization and the possibility to actually turn it into an enterprise.
what's your website and a place we can find more information about your book? And we'll get closer to your book.
Okay, the Umbrella Syndicate is my media company, and we use that company to get in the door to big events like this. And we have a company called Big Events USA, which handles top 1% events, but my heart is with the KeepSmilingMovement.com, and that's a nonprofit that actually goes around the world and really honors people that are causing smiles in the world, because I think that's really the way of tallying up the difference you're making in the world.